I DNF'd the most this month, but I've also had the most 5 stars. Been a good month. Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten, and today we are going through my April wrap up. So everything I've read and DNF'd in April. We're going to do it how I've been doing these videos the last couple of months. I've really been enjoying it. So we've got the stats at the start. We'll go over any like year-long readathons and things that I'm taking part in, or any books that work to fulfill some of those prompts, before moving on to the actual books I read and my thoughts on them. So grab yourself a beverage and let's get into everything I read in April. It's been a really mixed bag. It has been a month of extremes. I have simultaneously DNF'd more books than I ever have in a single month before, while also having one of the best reading months. So we're just going to get straight into the stats, I think. Starting off with some simple statistics, we've got the amount of books I actually finished in the month of April, which is 10. I'm really happy with this amount. That's kind of where I want to be. Books hauled, we've got 12. This has been the month where I have hauled the most books. Admittedly, some of that was book vouchers and things, and some of it was for specific videos, but yeah, definitely more than previous months this year. Translated, we had 2 books, although one of those was a DNF. The formatting for the books, 7 of them were physical reads and 3 were ebooks. Definitely a lot less ebooks. I think that's because I very much made an active effort this month to not read multiple books at the same time. As a result, I was reading a lot more of my physical books. I think it also helped that I have finished Battle of the Booktuber books, so I only had 1 ebook out of that. And then the new releases video that I filmed that's coming out to you in May, I bought 2 of those books already, so I only had 1 of those ebooks. Normally the new releases I tend to read them all as ebook. DNFs 6, and this is what I mean by this is the month that I've DNF'd the most books in, because that is double the amount for the previous months. Prior to this, for January, February, March, I was DNFing 3 books a month, and then April doubled it to 6. So it was quite a lot. Rereads is 0. I do want to try and be hitting 1 per month, but I also don't mind if I miss a couple of months, because I am planning December to be a purely reread month. It is an idea I stole from Nat over at Nerdy Nat Reads. I will have a channel linked below. She is absolutely lovely, but she does this every year, and I think it's quite a good idea because of like end of year stats. It'll be a bit easier to film and stuff. That's a tangent, but point is 0 rereads, but I will make up for that in December, so that's not a problem. Then we go on to my genre statistics. Now I'm just going to preface here that I do every single month. These genre statistics do not reflect the amount of books that I finished accurately, because if something is a cozy fantasy book, it gets 1 in cozy and 1 in fantasy, and that's the way I've done it. Talking about cozy though, we've got 5 cozy books. I honestly thought that would be less. Still was half, which is great. I do like cozy books to break up my reading every so often. I think they're really nice and wholesome. Then we've got fantasy, which was 3. This is kind of reflecting how I want to be, because I am finding that fantasy books I'm just not as interested in anymore. Sci-fi was 0, which was the first time, mainly because the 1 sci-fi book I was reading for the month I DNF. Horror, we had an increase to 4. Loved it. Love to see it. Mysteries 2. Thriller 0. Romance 1. Classics 0. I haven't actually read a single classic. Technically it would have been 1, but I ended up DNFing a classic this month, so we're not doing so great with that. And other is 1. Now other is generally things like manga, manhwa, those sort of things. So those are the simple statistics. Now let's get into books that worked for some reading challenges. So I actually want to start off with something that I tend to forget actually, is my 25 to read in 2025. I did actually read, I think it was just the 1. Yes, 1 book off of my 25 to read in 2025, which, let me grab it, was Cold Clay by Janu Black, the 2nd book in the Shady Hollow series. I will get more into this. I read this for a Patreon exclusive video. So that was the only one I read from my one. Then we have Rainy's year-long series challenge. I have been loving this. I talk about it all the time, but this series challenge is so freaking helpful, because it's all about just focusing on your series and actually getting them read. I'm trying to do hard mode where I black out the board. I can't have the same author, like I can have the same author, but if it's in different series, I can't have 2 of the same series on here. And apart from 1 square, everything's got to be continuing a series, not the start of a series. So for Rainy, I actually managed to get 3 done for this, which I'm very excited about. So we have, for BIPOC author, We have Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man by Jessie Sutano. This is a book that I'm really not going to be talking about apart from here. It is one that I read in April, but it's going to be properly talked about in my May wrap up because this is part of the new releases video that's coming to you 13th of May. So what I always do for those new releases videos is I talk about them in the following wrap up, but I just wanted to mention that yes, I read this in April and it worked for that square. Then we've got series I Think I'm Going to Love, which for this one I went with Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. Sword Heart, it has been confirmed T. Kingfisher is doing a second book. So I did this as starting a series I Think I'm Going to Love. Technically it's in the middle of the Temple of the White Rat overarching series, but they're kind of like little mini series within the overarching series, and Sword Heart is the start of a series. Look, okay, I made it work, okay, because could I have used many other things? Sure, but this is the one I wanted to use for it, so that's what I did. It doesn't make sense now that I think about it, but oh well, I've marked it off already, it's too late. But this was for the Discord book club hit. And then for pretty cover series, I have gone with Cold Clay. As I already mentioned, Patreon exclusive. We will talk about this one in a moment. So that was really good. 3 squares down on Rainy's Bingo Challenge. Very, very happy with that. And then we have the Our Fantasy Challenge. So I do have a full TBR video for that. And honestly, the book I read was not on my list for Our Fantasy, but it worked really well for parents, and that's When the Wolf Comes Home by Nat Cassidy. Again, this is a book that I'm only mentioning here because I read it in April. Full wrap up and everything will be in May because this is part of the new releases video that's coming to you on the 13th of May. This fulfilled parents because we are following a main protagonist that ends up being responsible for a child, and we do also see viewpoints from that child. So that was great. Okay, so those are all the reading challenges. In the month of April, out of my actual TBR, I have one book that I didn't read. Who is surprised that I never got around to reading this? Honestly, I've had this on my TBR for almost 3 years at this point. It has been on so many different TBRs and never been read, and yet I don't want to get rid of it. We'll get to this eventually at some point, but not this month. Again. But with all of that being said, I think it's time to now move into all the books that I've read, and I'm breaking this down into 2 different parts because the DNFs were many. So let's talk about the DNFs. Okay, so I have this stack of books that I DNF and a ebook that I DNF. We'll start off with the ebook, and that was part of the Cozy New Releases, the very last video for Cozy New Releases. But this one I actually read at the beginning of April, which is When the Moon Hits Your Eye, and oh man, this was a DNF. I did not get on with this book at all. I really was hoping it would be a really fun, cozy sci-fi, and instead it was like little vignettes of literally just what happens to various different people from all different walks of life when the moon turns to cheese. And that was it. And I just kind of gave up. I ended up in the middle of that video flicking through the book to see if anything interesting was going to catch my eye. And then there was this one scene that I read out loud, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm done. I'm done. I don't know. If you would like to experience that for yourself, feel free to check out that video. It is towards the end, so if you want to skip ahead, go for it. But yeah, that was a whole time. So that ended up being a DNF, and it does count as one of the DNFs for April because I did read this book at the very beginning of April and it just didn't go well. But the rest of the DNFs are all these physical books, so let's get into it. First of all is the classic book, which is A Handful of Dust by Evelyn Waugh. Was not impressed by this book at all. It was very dry and boring, but not just that, it was so misogynistic and racist, and it was just appalling. Like, it was getting to the point where certain things that were being said about characters, and I was like, there is just no need. There is genuinely no need. As much as I know classics are of their time, obviously they're classic books, there is a difference between it with it being with a malicious intent, and that's what this book had. I was not about it. I just couldn't, and so I DNF'd this one. I was not happy with it at all. So that's DNF'd and unhauled because no. Then we have Penance by Eliza Clark. Was reading this one for my Relax and Readathon. It's weird. Relax and Readathon, I attempted to read 2 books and DNF'd both of them. But this one, I kind of made it almost halfway through this book, and I really liked the idea of this one where we're following, well, it's a book obviously, but I mean, like, the way it's done is that it's a book that is about this true crime that happened, about these girls that tortured and then set fire to this other girl to kill her, and they're all 16-year-olds, and it's a book looking at that. So we're looking at the parents, everyone involved, we're looking at different things that each of the girls have said while they're in prison, their diaries and things like this, and this reporter has gone out to collect all of this information and put it into a book. Now, this reporter is not a nice person, he's doing this for a money grab, and that's kind of what this whole book is about, is why do we want to put a light on all of these people for our entertainment? What happened is awful, we shouldn't be getting entertainment out of this, and yet we do. So it was very much criticising everything to do with true crime, which I did like the idea of, but this book itself was just very slow, very boring, and you know, the start of it I really enjoyed. I thought it was really good, it really grabbed me, but how it continued, it just didn't have that same effect. So in the end I ended up putting it down. It's a bit of a shame because I did really want to like it, but it ended up getting very, very repetitive, and it just didn't do what I was hoping for. So maybe somebody that loves true crime more than me would really appreciate this book, but it didn't quite work how I wanted it to, which is a shame. And then the other book I DNF'd for that video is Silver Nitrate by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I didn't get too far into this one. I just found it was very, very slow, and it's more of like a historical fiction looking at cinematography than actually horror. So you do get some horror elements later on, I've been told, but it's very, very slow burn. It is a lot more instead focused on these characters and the influences of cinematography. While I can appreciate parts of it, I'm not somebody that's that into cinematography. Don't get me wrong, I like doing video editing and stuff for these videos, but my knowledge of it is tiny. I didn't do media studies at college, like I'm not that interested in it. I don't watch many films, like it's just unfortunately not something I'm interested in. I feel like if I'd had more interest in that would have carried the rest of the book through, or if I'd cared about the characters a little bit more, but I didn't quite get on with them. So unfortunately this kind of fell a bit flat because I was hoping for more atmosphere, more gothicness straight off the bat, and instead it's very slow paced. I since have had a few people telling me that you really do kind of have to get on with the characters to be able to. As much as the horror elements do ramp up, it is very slow burn to get there, and I just feel like that's not quite what I want. So yeah, unfortunately this was also a DNF. So that was the Relax and Readathon. It was a bit of a shame that it didn't quite pan out, but actually I enjoyed the day overall. It was very relaxing. I enjoyed doing the board game for the first time and everything. It's just a shame the books didn't work out. But also something that's been really nice about this is by me DNFing a lot of stuff, it's got my shelves even more focused in on the books that are on them are books that I really want to be reading or have read but do not want to reread, and it just feels really nice to have a kind of like more streamlined collection. Like I've been doing across the month of April lots of different unhauls and stuff. My unhaul pile is huge. We're at, I think it's over 100 books now. That video is coming to you in July. It's gonna take a while to film, but yeah, it's just growing. And so as much as I was DNFing loads, it was also lovely at the same time, and I think it helped more because I was chatting on Discord, and I love Discord so much. I think everyone on there is absolutely lovely, and I was saying about how kind of sad I was feeling that I DNF'd so many books this month. As someone said, like, I'm paraphrasing here, but they put up a comment going they see DNFing as recalibrating, and I love that, like to the point where I've screenshotted that. I have kept that because it's so true. And yeah, you know what, I can always go back to any of these books at any time if I want to, but currently it's not what my mood is wanting. So yeah, I just thought that was great. Anyway, back to the DNFs. We've got two more, and this was in the last vlog for May. Nordic Fauna. This is a shame because it was my translated book. So this is by Andrea Lundgren, and it's translated from Swedish by John Lottel, and this one I really wanted to like. I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. This is one of my favorite book covers ever. I really, really love it. I love the fact that it's kind of like windows with this whale going through it. Oh, beautiful. But it didn't quite work. So it's a collection of short stories, and I was thinking it would be quite like surreal maybe, but it's not. It is and it isn't. And I think what really put it off for me is the second short story in here was really quite brutal. There's cat death straight from the start, which is always going to get to me. We're following a main character whose brother has assaulted somebody. Like, you don't see it on page, but it's clear that that's what's happened, and there's like no repercussions of fallout from it all. And it's just, I was like, you know what, I don't think this is for me. I then kind of flicked through, read a few pages from each short story, and nothing was really grabbing me. I'm not sure whether it was just my expectations were slightly different or what it was, but it just unfortunately didn't quite work out for me, which is a shame. And then we have Blood to Poison by Mary Watson, and this is a book that I actually read quite a good chunk of. And the thing is, though, I read halfway. I said in the video, I'm gonna say it again, teenage me would have loved this 100%. I know if I had read this when I was a lot younger, I would have really got on with this book. It's just where I am now as a reader is not something I'm as interested in reading. You know, it's a shame. I don't want to be saying that, but like, as much as I can appreciate it because of the fact that younger me would have liked it. I mean, we've got our main character Savannah. She is cursed. She's dealing with this curse that is basically like, you're gonna get really, really angry, but it's gonna cut your life short. And she is. She's really angry at a lot of different things that are going on, and I can agree and understand with a lot of it. And there are elements in this book that, yes, younger me would have loved, but adult me is just so much more like, you know what, I know where it's going, I like the premise of it all and everything, but it's not enough to keep me reading. So yeah, this one ended up being a DNF, but I think somebody else would really enjoy this one. It's just not for me now as a reader. So yeah, those are all the DNFs. It was a crazy amount. Now let's get into all the books I actually finished for the month. Okay, so as we said, we had 10. 3 of them were obviously the new releases, so we're not going to be talking about these 2. Video for that's not out yet. I will go over these briefly in May's wrap up, but that does mean I have 2 from March to talk about. That video for the cozy new releases came out in April. One of them is a sci-fi murder mysteries, which is Murder by Memory, and this is a little tiny novella, and it's kind of like Miss Marple but in space. I did love the world. I think the concept of it all, the way it all works, so basically people are kind of able to live forever. What they do is they can upload their memories into these books and then download it when they're ready into a new body. And so by doing this, you can live forever. I think it's a really fascinating concept. I think the thought that went into the world and stuff was really, really well done. The mystery fell flat. I kind of guessed exactly who had done it straight away. Didn't really get why, and the why they did it made sense to explain how certain things in the world would work, which I think is great. So I'm interested to see where the second book goes, because now we've had all of that world and space building and everything, that maybe then it would work for the next bit. So for the mystery to have a higher say in it, to be a bit more fleshed out. Such a short book, you kind of had to choose. Do you flesh out the mystery? Do you flesh out the world? And I guess for the start of a series, yeah, you can flesh out and have more focus on the world and kind of set up the fact that we're following this investigator, and that's okay. It was fine. It was okay. It's one that I think I would continue, but I don't know if I would reread this first book. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I think I'll read the second book, and I think that second book will decide whether I actually continue on with the series or not, but it was okay. The last book I read for that video is God in the Garden, and this was a really nice, cute, wholesome story. It was really quite lovely, and we're following a dwarf that was fighting in the wars. That's what it starts off with. He gets an injury, and then it's his road of recovery. You're dealing with PTSD. Like, there is a lot of things I think was done really well in here. It was almost like The Shire in terms of like just like the feeling of the setting and everything, but it dealt with that, you know, when your life changes and you're dealing with something like that, how much it can affect your sense of self-worth and things. And I think this book handled it very well, actually. I thought it was really, really good. So I thought that was a very nice, cute, cozy book. Then we have the rest of the books that I read in April. So one, I already mentioned, ebook for Battle of the Booktuber. Can't go into it. That video will come to you in July. We then have one ebook that I read for the new releases, which is coming to you in that video for the 13th of May, and then Sword Heart, which was, as I already mentioned, the Discord book club pick for the month. So Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. I loved this book. I thought it was great. I thought it was really fun. Now this was interesting because I think this has been the book that has split the most people on Discord. So on the whole, generally speaking, we all seem to love T. Kingfisher, but this one, some people weren't loving as much. Now some of them aren't romance readers, so understandably this is very much a fantasy fantasy romance. And so the romance portion of this was quite heavy in the book. I would say this book probably has the least plot compared to any other T. Kingfisher books that I have read, but it was very funny and I really enjoyed it. But that was the sticking point for a lot of people because not everyone got on with this humour. I loved it. I genuinely love T. Kingfisher's humour. I don't know what it is, but it just seems to really, really work. So I had a great time with this book. Basically, we're following our main character and we meet her as she is being, well, locked into her room because she refuses to marry her cousin. That I think it's her cousin. Her husband had passed away. She's living with her husband's family. The elderly gentleman that was the head of the family has just passed away and he's left everything to our main character. As a result, the main character's aunt by marriage then decides, hey, you're gonna marry my son so that we get to keep all of this because you shouldn't have any of it because you're not actually family. So she's thinking to herself, how the hell am I gonna get rid of this, out of this situation? Like, I don't know. She finds a sword, takes it out, and as she does, a guy appears because the guy is the sword. And this whole hilarious thing starts and I loved it. I thought it was so funny. It was so silly and it's a lot of traveling. It's a lot of backwards and forwards and all of this stuff. I thought it was just great. I thought it was a really fun, silly, entertaining time. Like I genuinely had a great time with this one. So yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. But yeah, it was just interesting to note that not everyone was getting on with the humour in this one on Discord, which is interesting. For the books that I owned, we've got a couple of Patreon exclusives. So we have It Lasts Forever and Then It's Over by Andy Markin, as well as Cold Clay by Janu Black. The video for this one's already up on Patreon. The video for this one isn't, but I have filmed it. This was the very last book that I read in April. And this comes from my TBR Patreon jar. In my Patreon, the highest level, the rocking chairs, they're able to have access to my physical TBR and they can put any number of books that they want from my physical TBR into this jar and I will take one pick out from there per month and they get videos as and when I can get round to reading those books. The video for this one, start of April, and then the video for this one will be May, sometime in May, when I've edited that video. I really enjoyed these. Oh my god. Oh wait, I'm doing star ratings and I forgot to give you my star rating for Sword Heart, the first book that I finished. Hang on a minute, backtrack. Sword Heart, I gave this one a 4.25. Thought it was really fun. It was great. It Lasts Forever and Then It's Over, I gave this one a flat 4 stars. But I also keep thinking about it. So in this one, we're following a main character whose name we never get and they are dead. They are kind of traversing this afterlife of sorts and it talks a lot about grief and hunger being used as a metaphor for grief. And I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed the first half of this book more than the last. I started annotating just quotes that I love. I just thought it was fantastic. It was really well done. This is a book that's going to stay with me. I said that in the video, like it really has stayed with me and I think it will continue to stay with me throughout the year. Like genuinely this has a chance of being one of the top books of the year. I thought it was so interesting and I really liked the concept it was exploring. There are some gory, gross moments in here. There are some really interesting, introspective moments to get you thinking. Like I genuinely think it was so well done. So yeah, that was a solid 4-star read. Cold Clay, I kind of unsure. I think I ended up settling on like a 3.5 for this one. It was really cute and wholesome. In the video, I try and solve it and everything. I just find that the mystery was a little bit too easy, but I'm not going to go full into thoughts because that video hasn't got up on Patreon yet, but I did read that one and gave it a 3.5. The Lamb by Lucy Rose, and this ended up being a complete mood read. I had DNF'd by this point. I DNF'd, I think it was 4 books in a row and I was like, I need something. And I had just seen Jordline's video reading this book, her in floods of tears at the end of reading this book, and I was like, okay, well this is what I want. Bought it in March, really wanted to read this one, couldn't get it onto my May TBR, so I was like, sorry, I'm just going to pick it up. And oh my goodness, it was so good. Oh my god, I loved it. I loved it so much. I don't know what's going on with the lighting, sorry, but I genuinely love this one so much. I annotated it so much. I really enjoyed this one. So in this one we are following Margaret, and Margaret, her mum is a cannibal. So they live out in this kind of woodland trail. They come across, every so often, strays will find their house, and the mum's always like, yeah, come in, we'll feed you, we'll look after you, give her your strength, it's okay. And then she kills them and eats them, and makes Margaret eat them as well. Now she knows this is wrong, but she also loves her mum, and she will do anything to gain her mum's love, and the only way she knows how to do that is to partake in something that her mum loves, which is cannibalism. It is such a brutal story. Oh my god, it is so brutal, it is so upsetting, it is just wow. This book, I finished it and I was just staring at a wall. I'm not gonna lie, like I was genuinely like, what do I do? What do I do? And I had to have like a break from reading. I had to like do a whole like self-care day, like where I was like just kind of like doing nice things, because it genuinely got me so sensitive. And I think if it wasn't for the fact that I knew to expect a sensitive ending, this would have 100% made me cry, because it's just so brutal and it's so good. Now I can understand there are so many people have so many criticisms about this book, and it's completely valid. To me, this was a 5-star book. I loved it. I'm going to reread this. This is going to stay with me forever. Like, I know it is. But I can really understand the criticisms that are in this, like, people have with this book. It's slow. It's hella slow. It's repetitive. It is drawn out. There are things that don't make sense. I just didn't care. Like, I genuinely just didn't care. Like, I get that things don't make sense. There are certain things where you can go, well, how does this work? It's never explained. We're in the head of a child. We're in the head of an abused child. Why would they focus on these things? They probably wouldn't. I mean, there could be 100% be an argument of like, of course they children will still focus on these things, and 100% yes. But in my mind, it made sense for her not to focus on these things. Like, if she'd focused on it, it wouldn't have bothered me. But for her to not think about why these things happen and why it's this way didn't bother me. I do understand the complaints, and everyone's complaints are completely valid with it. I just fall into the category of people that really love it and can explain those things away. But yeah, this is not a book I'm ever going to recommend to anyone though, because it is really dark. Check your trigger warnings. It's gross, but it's good. So I had 4 tabs in this one. Orange for gross and disturbing, almost ran out of that one. Got green for like misogyny, how men treat women, the expectations on women, the expectations on motherhood and stuff from men. Then we've got purple for quotes I love, and then blue for the mother-daughter relationship. Now I could add to that. I feel like I could break that tab down further into further dynamics between that relationship between the two of them. The metaphor for cannibalism, like there's so many more things I could add, but that was the first read, and yeah, it was great. It's gonna stay with me forever. 5 out of 5, brilliant. That brings me up to 3 5-star reads for the whole year. And so this is what I mean, like I DNF'd the most this month, but I've also had the most 5 stars. Been a good month. But then moving on to 2 solid 4-star reads. So we have Adrift in Currents Clean and Clear by Shauna Maguire. This is book 10, I want to say, in the Waywood Children series. It's either 9 or 10. I think it's 10. And this is the book I read after DNFing A Handful of Dust, and I'm so glad, because this was just the complete opposite. This was so diverse, and it was so accepting of diverseness that it was just wonderful to read. Like I say, 10th book in the series. I love this series, clearly. I'm 10 books in. Now that I've read this book though, I do want to reread the whole series. I love this series so much. It's so the Waywood Children series, a portal fantasy series, and it basically just asks the question of what happens to children where they stumble into other worlds, like Alice going into Wonderland. What happens to Alice when she comes back? And that's the question they asks, and I just love it. Each book focuses on something different. So like this one, we have our character who born missing her forearm, so she has like half an arm. I love the way they talk about it. I love the way that it describes, well, she's not any lesser just because she's missing that part of her body, so what, it doesn't mean anything. But also how others can misconstrue it and kind of pity it, and you know, think your life can't be anywhere near as fulfilling and you can't be anywhere near as happy. And it's like, well, of course I am. I'm no different. And I love how every single book focuses on a different topic like that. I just love it. I think they're so well done, so diverse. So that was fascinating. Oh, this one wins for one of the best fantasy worlds that we've gone into. I thought it was fantastic. I really loved the world. I can't wait to reread the whole series and then actually do a ranking of what book do I like the most, what world do I like the most, and things like that. Oh, that's going to be so much fun to do eventually. But then the very last thing that I read in the month is, well, second to last, because I read Cold Clay last, but the Apocary Diaries Volume 1. Oh, I'm so happy I got this. Like, my partner got this for me. I love the anime series so much, and I said how I really wanted to collect the manga and the light novels and read them, and he got me this one. And this was perfect because this is the book I read directly after The Lamb. I'd read The Lamb, as I said, I had a whole situation where I'm like, I don't want to read, I don't want to do things. I took a day to chill, I did some colouring and stuff, and then I read this at the very end of the day, and this was perfect because this was so comforting. I already knew the story because I'd watched the anime. It was so lovely. So for anyone that doesn't know about the Apocary Diaries, we're following Momo, and Momo is an apothecary, and she is kidnapped one day and taken to the rear palace to be like a washerwoman, but she ends up solving a case of poisonings and so gets promoted into working for the concubines. It's so good. Like, each kind of episode is like different mysteries and things to solve and stuff. This volume covered the first 3 episodes from the show, and yeah, I just love it. I really love it. I can't wait to get the light novel and just read that, because the light novel came first, then it was adapted into manga, and I love it. I really love it. I love the characters. I love how wholesome it is. Like, it brings me so much joy. So this was perfect to be reading after The Lamb. But there we are. Those are all the books that I have read and DNF'd in the month of April. Please let me know if you've read any of these. Did you DNF any books? What were your favourite reads of the month? Let me know all of it in the comments below. But yeah, I'm really happy with this pile of books. Like, genuinely, it's been a great time. Like, it's weird because, like I say, I DNF'd 6 books and then I finished 10 books, and of those 10, I think I had 3 books that were less than 4 stars, and everything else was 4 stars and up, which I think is such a great time. Like, that is so good. And the fact that I found 2 5-star reads, even better. So yeah, I did have a really good reading month. Like I say, mixed bag, but it was worth it. So thank you so much for watching. I am going to leave it there. If you have made it this far but just don't know what to comment, then maybe we could leave, actually let's leave a cup of tea for Apocary Diaries. And thank you so much for watching, for listening to me ramble about the books that I've read and going over statistics and things. Like, I really enjoy it. And an extra special thank you to all of my Patreons. Your support means so much, and I've really been enjoying reading the different books that you've been getting me to read and doing different videos for you and things. So thank you so much for all of your support over there. So I'm gonna go. So if you have enjoyed this video, then please do consider giving it that thumbs up, subscribing and commenting. Those 3 things really help this channel out. My social media links, anyone I've mentioned, Patreon, Discord, everything is all linked below for you. And I will of course catch you in the very next video.